Hello, and welcome to my story. My name is Claire, and I'm from France. Today, I want to share something very personal with you, my journey to learn English. It wasn't easy. In fact, it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. But it changed my life. If you are learning English too, or if you feel stuck, confused, or even ashamed sometimes, this story is for you. I've been there. I know how it feels. And I want to show you that it's possible to grow, to change, and to succeed, even when it feels impossible. So sit back, relax, and let me take you on a journey. This is not just about grammar or vocabulary. This is about courage, mistakes, and small victories. This is about my struggle to learn English. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Why I wanted to learn English. I was born in a small town in France where life moved slowly. People knew each other. The baker smiled at me every morning. The postman waved from his bike. I felt safe, comfortable, and stuck. For many years, I lived in my little bubble. I spoke only French. I watched French TV, read French books, and listened to French music. English was something distant. Something for other people. I didn't need it, or at least, that's what I thought. But deep inside, I had a quiet dream. I wanted to travel. I wanted to meet people from other countries. I wanted to understand the world better. I just didn't know how to start. Then came the invitation. My cousin, who lived in London, asked me to visit her for a week. I said yes immediately. I was excited. I imagined the red buses, the old buildings, the beautiful parks. I packed my suitcase with care, bought a guidebook, and told myself, it's just a short trip. I'll be fine. But when I arrived, everything felt different. The signs were in English. The announcements in the train station were fast and confusing. People spoke quickly, with accents I couldn't understand. I felt like a child again, lost, unsure, and afraid to speak. One moment changed everything. I went to a small cafe near Hyde Park. I wanted a coffee and a croissant. Simple, right? I smiled at the waiter and said, un café, s'il vous plaît. He looked confused. I tried again, coffee. He nodded, but I could see he didn't understand me well. I wanted to ask, do you have croissants? But the words wouldn't come. I froze. My face turned red. I just pointed and smiled. I sat down, feeling ashamed. I was a grown woman, but I couldn't even order breakfast. I felt invisible, like I didn't exist in this world of English. That night, I cried in my room. Not because of the coffee, but because I realized something painful. I had built walls around myself. Walls made of fear, of excuses, of comfort. And those walls were keeping me small. I didn't want that anymore. I wanted to speak. I wanted to understand. I wanted to laugh with strangers, ask questions, share stories. I wanted to be part of the world, not just watch it from the outside. When I returned to France, I made a promise to myself. I would learn English. No matter how long it took. No matter how many mistakes I made. I would learn. I started with enthusiasm. I bought grammar books, downloaded apps, watched YouTube videos. I practiced every day. I repeated simple phrases. Hello. How are you? My name is Claire. I felt proud of myself. But soon, I discovered the truth. Learning English was not just about words. It was about patience, about courage, about failing again and again, and still continuing. Some friends laughed. You're too old, they said. Why bother? Others were kind, but didn't understand why it mattered so much to me. But I knew why. Because I wanted freedom. I wanted connection. I wanted to grow. And that's how my real journey began, not with a textbook, but with a moment of silence in a London cafe. Chapter 2. My First Mistakes and Failures. When I started learning English, I was full of hope. I imagined myself speaking fluently, watching movies without subtitles, and traveling the world with confidence. I thought, this will be fun. But very quickly, I learned something important. Mistakes are part of the journey. And I made a lot of them. One of my first mistakes happened in a supermarket. I wanted to buy chicken. I had learned the word chicken the night before, so I was ready. I walked up to the counter and said proudly, I want one kitchen, please. The man looked confused. I repeated, kitchen. Kitchen. He smiled and said, "Do you mean chicken?" I nodded, embarrassed. I had mixed up the words. Kitchen and chicken so close, but so different. I laughed about it later, but in the moment, I felt stupid. Another time, I tried to say, "I'm hungry" to a friend. But I said, "I'm angry." She looked surprised and asked, "Why? What happened?" I didn't understand. I thought I was talking about food. Only later did I realize I had used the wrong word. Hungry and angry again, so similar, but with very different meanings. These small mistakes happened every day. I said sheet instead of shit. I said beach, and people thought I said something rude. I asked someone, "Can I kiss you?" when I meant, "Can I ask you?" Each time, I felt embarrassed. I wanted to hide. I thought, maybe I'm not smart enough. Maybe I'll never learn. But something inside me refused to give up. I started writing down my mistakes. I kept a notebook called My English Errors. Every time I said something wrong, I wrote it down, laughed a little, and tried to learn from it. That notebook became my best teacher. I also struggled with grammar. The rules were confusing. Why do we say I am but he is? Why do verbs change so much? I spent hours trying to understand. Sometimes I cried. Sometimes I wanted to throw my books out the window. But I kept going. I joined an online group for English learners. I met people from Brazil, India, Japan, and Morocco. We all made mistakes. We all laughed. We all helped each other. That made me feel less alone. One day, I tried to speak English for 5 minutes without stopping. I made 20 mistakes. But I did it. I spoke. I didn't quit. And that was a victory. I learned something powerful. Mistakes are not the enemy, they are the path. Every time I failed, I grew. Every time I said the wrong word, I got closer to the right one. Every time I felt embarrassed, I became braver. So if you're learning English and you feel like you're failing, good. That means you're trying. That means you're alive. That means you're on the road. And trust me, the road gets better. Chapter 3. The Shame of Not Understanding. Learning English was not just about studying. It was about facing myself. At first, I thought the hardest part would be grammar or pronunciation. But I was wrong. The hardest part was the deep, painful feeling of not understanding. It happened many times. I remember sitting in a group conversation. People were laughing, talking fast, sharing stories. I smiled, pretending to follow. But inside, I was lost. I didn't understand the jokes. I didn't catch the words. I felt like I was watching life through a window close, but not part of it. Someone asked me a question. I didn't hear it clearly. I said, "Sorry." They repeated. I still didn't understand. I smiled again, nodded, and hoped it was the right answer. My heart was beating fast. I wanted to disappear. That night I cried. Not because I didn't know the words, but because I felt stupid. I felt like a child in an adult world. I felt ashamed. Shame is a quiet monster. It doesn't scream. It whispers, "You're not good enough. You'll never learn. Why are you even trying?" I started avoiding conversations. I stopped going to group events. I was afraid someone would speak to me in English. I didn't want to feel that shame again. Even online, I hesitated. I joined English forums but didn't post. I watched videos but didn't comment. I was afraid of making mistakes. Afraid of being judged. But one day, something changed. I watched a video of a woman learning French. She made mistakes. She laughed at herself. She said, "I'm not perfect, but I'm learning." Her courage touched me. I thought, if she can do it, maybe I can too. I decided to stop hiding. I started speaking, even when I was unsure. I asked people to repeat. I said, "I don't understand," without shame. I made mistakes, many mistakes, but I kept going. And something beautiful happened. People were kind. They helped me. They smiled. They didn't laugh at me. They encouraged me. I realized the shame was inside me, not in them. The more I spoke, the stronger I became. Not just in English, but in confidence. I learned that understanding takes time and courage grows with practice. Now, when I don't understand something, I say, "Can you explain that again?" I don't feel stupid. I feel brave. Because every time I choose to keep going, I win. Chapter 4: Changing My Method. After months of struggling, I realized something important. The problem wasn't English. The problem was how I was learning it. I was trying to memorize long lists of vocabulary. I was reading grammar rules like a robot. I was watching videos, but only passively, without speaking, without practicing. I was doing everything alone. And I was exhausted. One day, I sat at my desk, surrounded by books and notebooks. I looked at the pages full of rules and translations. And I asked myself, is this really helping me speak? The answer was no. So I decided to change everything. I stopped focusing on perfection. I stopped worrying about grammar. I started focusing on communication, on understanding and being understood. I began learning like a child. Children don't study grammar. They listen. They repeat. They make mistakes. They learn through experience. So I try to do the same. I started watching English series with English subtitles. At first, I didn't understand much, but I kept watching. I chose shows with simple dialogue like Friends or The Office. I paused when I heard a new word. I repeated sentences out loud. I laughed. I learned. I also changed the language on my phone and computer to English. It was scary at first, but it helped me see English every day in small, natural ways. Then I found something that changed everything: speaking with real people. I joined a language exchange app. I met people from all over the world. Some wanted to learn French, and I wanted to learn English. We helped each other. We made mistakes. We laughed. We became friends. One of my first partners was a woman from India named Priya. She was patient, kind, and funny. We spoke once a week. At first, I was shy. I used simple words. I made many mistakes. But Priya never judged me. She encouraged me. She corrected me gently. She celebrated my progress. That gave me confidence. I also started talking to myself in English. Yes. It sounds strange, but it works. I described my day. I woke up at 7. I made coffee. I'm tired today. I practiced thinking in English. Slowly, my brain started to switch. I learned to accept mistakes. I stopped saying, I'm bad at English. I started saying, I'm learning English. That small change in words made a big change in my heart. I realized that learning a language is not a race. It's a journey. And every step, even the slow ones, matters. Changing my method didn't make me fluent overnight, but it made me free. Free to try. Free to speak. Free to grow. And that freedom was the beginning of real progress. Chapter 5: Small Victories That Changed Everything. Progress doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. One day, I walked into a cafe in Cannes. The barista smiled and said, "Hi, what can I get you?" And without thinking, I replied, "A cappuccino, please." No panic. No translation. Just words flowing naturally. That moment felt like magic. Another time, I was watching a movie in English. Halfway through, I realized I hadn't checked the subtitles once. I was understanding. Not every word, but enough to follow the story, laugh at the jokes, feel the emotions. It was a quiet victory, but it meant everything. I remember texting Priya in English without using a dictionary. I made mistakes, yes, but she understood me. And I understood her. That was the goal: connection, not perfection. I started noticing more victories. I could order food in English while traveling. I understood a joke on Instagram without translating. I helped a tourist in Normandy find the train station in English. Each small success gave me confidence. Each moment whispered, "You're doing it. You're becoming a speaker." I stopped measuring progress by grammar tests. I started measuring it by life, by the moments when English helped me live more fully, connect more deeply, and feel more free. And slowly, those small victories became a wave. Chapter 6: The Day I Felt Fluent. It didn't happen in a classroom. It didn't happen during a test. It happened in the middle of life, unexpected, simple, and beautiful. I was walking through Herouville St. Clair, enjoying the quiet streets and soft breeze. My phone buzzed. It was a video call from Priya. She said, "Hey, I just got the job." I smiled and replied, "That's amazing." Tell me everything. We spoke for 30 minutes, all in English. I asked questions. I gave advice. I laughed. I listened. And when we hung up, I realized something. I hadn't translated a single word. I hadn't hesitated. I had spoken naturally, freely, confidently. That was the day I felt fluent. Not perfect. Not native. But fluent enough to connect, express, and understand. Fluent enough to be me in another language. It wasn't about knowing every word. It was about trusting myself. Trusting that I could speak, even with mistakes. Trusting that I could listen, even when it was fast. Trusting that I could live in English, not just learn it. That day, I didn't feel like a student. I felt like a speaker. I felt proud. And I knew this was just the beginning. When I began, English felt like a wall. Tall, cold, impossible. I stood in front of it, whispering words I barely understood. Afraid to speak. Afraid to fail. But step by step, I climbed. Not with perfect grammar. Not with flawless pronunciation. But with courage, curiosity, and heart. I changed my method. I changed my mindset. And slowly, I changed my life. English gave me more than vocabulary. It gave me connection with people, with stories, with the world. It gave me confidence to speak, to try, to grow. It gave me freedom to express myself, to dream bigger, to belong. I am not finished. Language is a journey, not a destination. But today, I walk with joy. I speak with pride. I learn with love. And if someone asks me, how did you learn English? I will smile and say, I didn't just learn it. I lived it. If you enjoyed this story, like this video to show your love, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next video, comment below. Tell me what part touched your heart, and don't forget to turn on the bell so you hear every new story first. Thank you for listening. Your support means everything.